All right, so here we are back. Happy holidays, everyone. New year, right around the corner. Day away here. So had a little time off, a little quick break, but we're back on our grind after our holidays. So hope everything's going good with everyone. So this one's going to be for the Sheleys. Kind of already went over it before the break, but this will just be a little review just to make sure you got it so you can reference it at any given time, kind of point out everything. So a little bit of something. I already went over the fab, most of it, but this will just be the definitive law. So with that being said, let's get after it. We got the lay of the land. We got ourselves the backers. So the backers, and then I threw in these little nuggets. These little nuggets will help align, make it easy to kind of center this into the frame. Show you what's up with that. You've got your spars that you're going to be riveting together, and the retainers, making our own. We're going to roll our own retainers. And we got ourselves some Mark 6s, SOP Mods Block 2. Did some little rearranging so that way they work on these boxes. And then we have the 1/4-inch plate, actual mounting structures, the bars that go on the back side of these boxes. And we got our 063 whites for the LEDs. So again, I kind of explained this, but this will just be to make sure everyone's on the same page. So go ahead and take your spars. First thing you're going to do, bend them up, and you're just going to rivet them together. So you'll have your backside, which has these riv nut holes, and then you'll have your front side, which will actually have just the holes for the white. So you can kind of tell the difference. I guess you're good to go ahead and just put your riv nuts in, but you can do that after as well, but it's probably easier to just handle it this way. So what you're going to do for review is to... I'm not making this rhyme on purpose, I promise. So this guy's going to be your jig, one big giant jiggy. So you're going to get these guys fired up, and then you're going to bring in the frame that you welded up and get it onto your table or however you're going to do it. But make sure it's level, it's not twisted or anything. If you do it on sawhorses, make sure they're level. Maybe do some like 3x3 struts that'll kind of that sit either on your table to kind of raise it up, give yourself a little bit of room, because you're going to be flipping this over, and I would suggest not flipping this over onto the clecos. Do not let the clecos be. So whatever you do, whether it's on your table, go ahead and get some bars, get some like 3x3 long boys, and that way when you flip it, it'll rest on the long boys and not the clecos. So you're going to get these put together, and then you're going to cleco them into the backer, and then you're going to bring your frame in, set it face down, and then you're going to set this guy into the frame. And I went ahead and made the backer to that lip that is included in the frame. It's basically an 09 lip. I made it 0.11. So theoretically, you should be able to take these little tabs and kind of put them in the corners and maybe use them as feelers along the side. I noticed that the frames do bow out, actually, counterintuitive to them being burnt here and then pulling in how they would want to be. So after you guys welded them up, I took an eyeball when I did my measurements. So if anything, you are going to have clearance here and actually a little bit more gap than you might want. So you might have to throw like a bar clamp across the middle just to bring them in a little bit. But there is about a 1/16 of play. So this thing will jiggle a little bit. So you're going to be kind of relying on these guys to center up your backer, get it on there centered, and then get these guys inside the frame like you see there. And then while this guy is like this, then what you're going to do is go ahead and drill for clecos all the way around. So clamp it down, make sure it's where you want it. And while the frame is face down on your table, go ahead and 5/32 all the way around the perimeter holes there, and then that's going to give your cleco. Then once those are clecoed in spot, and these are where they need to be, then you're going to flip the whole thing over, and that's where I was saying is you want to make sure that you have it on some 3x3 long boys or something to stay off the clecos. And then because your bars are going to be clecoed to the backer too, so its whole backside is going to be bristly with clecos. Then you're going to make sure that also to support it, you want to make sure you're sitting on the bars or pushed in the way they're supposed to be. Then what you're going to do is go ahead and burn these to the frame, but do not burn the backer yet. It's just to get the support spar, get that burnt to the frame. Then once those are in there nice, Then you're going to flip it back over to its face one more time. And then that's your final hit. And then you're going to go ahead and just lords like crazy. Maybe pop 2 guns. I know it's cooler weather, so you might have a little more time to play. But I think you're definitely going to want some good spillage because you got plenty of room here. So you might want to do a double line, and you're going to want to do a double line on these. So I think you're looking at 2 guns. So 2 guys pop lords. Go ahead and put it on there, and then you're just going to go ahead and squish it down. That way these spars are ready to go, and it's just going to be a nice big squish party. So then once everything's done there, that's when you can you'll already have the riv nuts, or you go ahead and put your 5/16 riv nuts here. And then you're going to open up these holes. These holes here are going to be for these holes here. Sorry, these holes. These are going to be riv nut holes right here. But these smaller ones, I went ahead and brought in the 3/8 diameter. Those like the ones that install likes. There's the metal to metal big heavy boys, the thread forming screws. So you're going to do 4 of those along the top, or 5 actually. I got 5 across the top that are going to permanently attach the mounting bar, and then I've got them down on the bottom here, and those are going to go all the way along there. So, but those are going to be put on after paint. So these only go on, you don't have to worry about that. But I would go ahead and drill. And so this hole is actually the diameter you want going off the McMaster car. You can see where it's a 0.339. And you're like, well, we don't have 0.339. Yes, you do. I went ahead and brought in, I'll go ahead and give you that drill bit. But I brought in a letter R drill bit. Isn't machinist's language fun? So I brought in a letter R, which is a 0.339. So you'll be able to hit the center of that as best you can, and then open that up to a letter R. And then that will be right where we want to be for strength. And then after paint and after all said and done, when it's time to assemble this, then our bar, I went ahead and put a little bit of jiggle for the top bar. And then you're just going to kind of center the hole in the jiggle. And then the bottom bar for sure gives you much more room just in case there needs to be adjustment. I did ask for confirmation that these bars were supposed to be 48 on center or 48 top to top, surface to surface. So you'll have 48 to here, 48 to here. So what you're going to want is 78 and 7/8. Let's go ahead and give 1/8 of an inch there. So from inside here to inside here, when you go ahead and install these and get them ready for install, you want to make sure that this guy's nailed down square, and then shoot a measurement from inside here to where that's surface to surface is going to be 47 and 7/8, like right there to right there. That way, but I think it's going to be okay. I think it is where it is. But if install needs to, though, I gave them wiggle room so they can loosen up these bolts a little bit and then kind of shove it up or down or whatever they need to do. So hopefully everything's all square there. And then for the SOP mod block 2, it all goes together just like we usually do. The only difference is we are getting rid of the rivet on pieces that go on the back here, right? The little mount parts. So that way this sits flush. The backers it's not necessarily east or west or anything like that. There's just a side A and a side B. So you can make them both either way. Make sure this says inside. But the only difference is that the powers are just going to mirror each other. And then it's kind of up to install to choose which side of the pole has power. I'm assuming it's the one away from the street. Like this might be the street side. That way the ugliness and the EMTs and whatnot. So you can see where A and B is just arbitrary. They can flip it either way. But that way the power stays on one side of the pole. And then theoretically they can run their own EMT or whatever to a point. And then they are going to be running flex from there over to each box and bringing primary in. So that's kind of how that works. So the reason why these are SOP mod is that these mount directly to the back of each box. And then they have a hole in the back. So you can see where I got rid of the ability to come in from the side, right? Because that's not necessary. So these are all closed up. And the actual SOP mod part of this is I got rid of that little dip. So it's a solid cover. There's no hole there. So that way we're all tightened up because your powers or your leashes are coming in here. And then each of those leashes meet up to this inside here. And they are within proximity here and here. So when you do your leashes for A, you're going to have a bottom leash, and then you're going to have a top leash here. Well, bottom is top and top is bottom, but you're going to have an A and you're going to have a B. So install that way. Both of those leashes will lead right into the power supply box, and then there you go. And as usual, we are right on the edge of a single power supply. We want to make sure this is nice and lit. Jim is saying we're probably going to do a full field. He wants the whole thing, you know, it's going to be stretch face, obviously, but he wants this whole thing lit. So we're just going to go ahead and make sure it's good and nice and bright. And that always puts us like one row right, you know, to within. So this will be 2 power supplies, nice, easily loaded. Won't be too much bother for them. And then so easy peasy there. And then this guy here, supposedly, if everything works out, when you go to put the, after all this is done, go ahead and mount your retainers. Go ahead and pre-drill, pre-install. For install, don't just rely on them to shoot self-tappers. Make sure all of this lines up properly. So before it goes to paint, go ahead and get this all lined up. But theoretically, I have some room here. I don't know exactly what's going on with stretch face. So you got some room there. If you just put this flush with the back of the extrusion, then you should be sitting there with that notch. So on the side of the extrusion, there's that notch there. That should be where screws are going. Oh yeah, there it is. That's the, you've seen these. So that's what's going to go inside the bar. That's the 3/8 up here in the top there. So while I'm here. So anyway, so you're going to go ahead and pre-fit these. So get these in there, clamp them on just to make sure everything fits properly first. The sides win. The sides go long. The top and bottom tuck, so there's no seam on the side. And then go ahead and pre-drill those and get that all set up to win for install. But otherwise, I think that's it for these. Just a little review. Like I said, I think I kind of touched on most of this. But now you got it. You can watch this over and over, and it's all good. But anyway, so I think that's it. So if you have any questions, hit me up.